Hello. Welcome as we now begin our reading of parts of the Epitome to the Formula of Concord. I apologize for not having this up earlier. I was sick for a week, and I don't know as you could have understood me even if I had tried to record this. And I think it's going to be helpful for me to record some videos to help with the translation of this section. I hope you get quite a bit out of this. First of all, because it's a foundational document for us as Lutherans. It's going to articulate some things that we believe as Lutherans and articulate them very clearly. And also because I think this will be a good practice with late and with medieval Latin. Notice the questions that I put up to go with this, but we're going to start, you can read through the introduction if you wish, but we're really going to start with the first paragraph here, and that's where you should start your translation as well, where it says, Credimus confitemur et docemus, unicam regulam et normam, secundam quam omnia dogmata omnesque doctores aestimare et judicare apporteat, nullum omnino aliam esse, quam prophetica et apostolica scripta cum veteris tum novi testamenti. Sicut scriptum est, salmorum centum und de vigenti, centum et quinque, lucerna pedibus meis verbum tuum et lumen semitis meis, et divus Paulus inquit Galatius unam acto etiasi angulus de caelo aliud praedicet evangelium anathema sit. And so, credimus confitemur et docemus, I kind of want y'all to do those on your own. But we verb these things, and it's the unicam regulam. The unicam here, you can see the word one in there, but maybe singular or even only, regulam, the only rule, and norm. Secundum, this is not the word for second, this is secundum as according to which, right? Secundum quam, omnia dogmata, all teachings, and omnesque, and all doctores, aestimare. So here's a good passive infinitive. Are to be, think of a good, you'll have to find a good translation for aestimare. Judicare we can see, can't we? All these dogmata and all these doctores, they are aestimare, and they, to be, they apportet. I want to say ought to. It's actually a little bit stronger than ought to, but judicare is to be judged, right? And nullam omnio alium esse, and, right, they are not to be judged by anything else except the prophetica et apostolica scripta, right? Or the veteris tur novi testamenti. That one's pretty easy. Sicut scriptum est, just as scriptum est, and then we get a Bible reference. Unusually in the confessions, there's actually a verse. A lot of times they don't give the verse, they just give the chapter. I'm not going to translate that. You probably know the passage anyway, and you can look it up. I like this part. And divus Paulus, this would be, and St. Paul says in Galatians, and again, you can look up the passage. You don't need my help with that. And then it says, reliquia vero sive patrum, sive neater coram scripta, quocunque veniat nomine, sacris litteris, neque quam sunt aequiparanda, sed universa illis ita subjicienda sunt, ut alia ratione non recipiatur nisi testimum loco, qui doceant, quod etiam post apostolorum tempora et in quibus partibus orbis doctrina illa prophetarum et apostolorum sincerior conservata sed. So reliquia, and often means something like left over. Here, the idea of other and where, like, now, indeed, there are other reliquia, goes with scripta. There are other or scripta, uh, um, whether be they patrum of the fathers, right, the Christian fathers, or neoterracorum. So maybe the word modern or present day, but you can see the word neo when they're the present. And I like, this is one of those fun Latin words, quo cumque, veniat nomine, having come by, it's quo cumque nomine, by whatever name, right? By whatever name they might come. But what is this? Ne quamque, by no means, aequiparanda. So here's a good participle, right? By no way should they be, are they to be aequiparanda? Are they to be aequis, right? Are they to be equaled? Sacris litteris, equaled with the holy writings, or maybe holy scriptures here might be good. But universa, and here I would use something like all together, but all together, these ita subjicienda sunt, right? They must not be equal, but indeed they must be, find a good word for this, right? And the idea, of course, goes back to Sacris litteris as our object. They are not to be equal, they are to be this to the Holy Scriptures. Right? So, which they're not to be received in order they, otherwise, by any other reason, they are not to be received. Nisi testium loco, except as testium, maybe witnesses, as witnesses of the place, which they show they were taught, whether it be, quote, etiam, after the apostles, time of the apostles, and in parts of the partibus orbis, right, in what places of the world that these teachings of the prophets and the apostles, how they were, think of you'll have to find a good word for sincerior, but conservata, like preserved, right? So there's obviously some sort of adverb, so think of how that goes together with that. Et quia statim post apostolorum tempora, immo etiam cum ad hoc super cites essent, falsi doctores et haeretici exhorti sunt, contra quos in primitiva ecclesia symbola sunt composita, id est breves et categoricae confessiones, quae un animem catholicae Christiani fide consensum et confessionem orthodoxorum et verae ecclesiae complectebantur, ut sunt symbolorum apostolorum Nicaeum et Athanasium prophetemur publicae nos illa plecti et reikimus omnes haereses omniaque dogmatica, quae contra illorum sententiam umquam in ecclesiam Dei sun invecta. So, that says, and quia statum, immediately post apostolorum, to the time of the apostles, so maybe immediately after the time of the apostles, And indeed, imo etiam, indeed, cum ad hoc, while they were yet living, falsi doctores, right, et, you can see this one, hereticae, exorati sunt, right, that were exhorting, right, contra, against those which in the early church, were written ecclesia as symbols, or symbols, or here the idea is confessions, right? So because there were these false teachers, there were these things that were written as symbols. That is, they were breves, they were brief, and categoricae, they brief and unanimous confession, or unanimous of the Catholici, of the universal Christian faith. Consensum et confessi, right? They were put together, right? Complectabantur, the consensus and the confessions orthodoxorum and the verae ecclesiae. Ut sunt. So now we're going to list what they are. The symbolum apostolicum, and you can get all those translated. Profitemur publici nos illa amplecti et recimus omnes haeresis omniaque dogmatica, right? And so now what do? We profitemur. We pledge, we publici to them, right? And so we fill them, and reikimus, and we reject omnes, all these things, and omnia dogmatica, quae, which, contra illorum, right, which they invect, which they were which they spoke against the ecclesiam Dei. So they say we pledge ourselves first to these things, and not only do we pledge, we also reject, we reikimus, these things as well. So not only are we saying what we confess and teach, we're also saying what we reject. This is an important thing for the Lutherans to do that.